nigga. That's a Philly. For real. She said, oh, you rich, rich. Bitch, I graduated, call me Big Fish.
Yeah, you're gonna start the video off. Hey guys, so I am finally back with a new video. And as you see, I have a special guest. We have the baby here. But it's time for him to take a nap, so he might not make a face appearance. But today I am going to be sharing. Shh. You want them? Okay, you want to tell them? Yeah? You want to let them know that you finally came? That you're finally here? Not my necklace. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my pregnancy journey and my labor and delivery video. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes in my phone. So I'm going to first start from the beginning. So found out May 2nd, 2018 that I was pregnant. And a little story behind how I found out. No, I had not missed my period yet. I think it was like a day or so late, and that's usually normal. Like, my period is usually kind of irregular, so I wasn't too worried about it. But that weekend was going to be Cinco de Mayo, and I wanted to be able to drink, so I was like, well, let me just make sure. And I wasn't really expecting to get like a positive test, but I took it. I remember it was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and I took the test, and it was a digital one, and it came back and it was like yes, and I was like no, that's a joke, that's not right. Can they be fake? Can they be like false? So I'm like Googling it, and there was like weird answers about it being like possibly false, and I'm like, okay. So then I think I took another one, and it came back with the 2 lines, and I was like, but this one might not be right. So I woke Jemiah up, my boyfriend, and I was like, I need to go to the store to get some tampons, because if I told him that I need to go to the store to get a pregnancy test, he probably would have been like, I'm not going to the store at 4 in the morning for no test. So I told him that, and then we went to the store, and I had him stay in the car, and I ran in and grabbed a box or whatever, and you okay? And got back, and then I waited and took one when I woke up that morning, and it said the same thing, and I was like, okay. So at first I didn't tell him right away that morning. I told him later on that afternoon or whatever. So yes, we found out on May 2nd. I did not have morning sickness or anything like that until maybe the end of May. It was after I had already told my mom. I think she jinxed me, because she said that she did not have morning sickness when she was pregnant with me and my siblings. So I think she kind of jinxed me. By June, though, that's when things really started to go downhill. I couldn't keep anything down. So like food, no types of food, like crackers, ginger ale, Gatorade, all of that stuff was coming up. Water was coming up, and it was getting to the point where I went to the hospital because I was throwing up so much, and I was dehydrated. And then I went to my appointment. Oh, baby. I went to my appointment, and they prescribed me some different medication. I believe like one of them was Unisum and some other stuff. But the medicines weren't working. Like, I was still getting really, really sick. I remember there was times like I was so sick, like I left work early because I was sick. Bless you. I was sick, and I was just out. I couldn't keep anything down. Like, nothing would stay down. Hey. Yeah. They hear you. Anyway, so that started happening. There was also a time in the shower, probably because I was so dehydrated. What you want to tell them? Yeah? You want to be so talkative? You want them to hear you? You done? Yeah? Okay. So there was a time where I think I probably was like so dehydrated, and like didn't even register in my mind like, oh, you know, I'm dehydrated. I was taking a shower and all of a sudden like everything started getting like blurry. I got like really, really hot and I almost passed out. Luckily, Jemiah was there, so he was able to like get me out the shower because like I almost passed out, so he had to pick me up and carry me out the shower to the bed so that way I was somewhere cool. And that was really, really scary because I never had that happen before. I ended up going to the hospital 1 to 2 times every month for like the first 3 months because I was dehydrated. My iron was very, very low and I had low potassium. Then things started getting worse. I couldn't walk by myself. I couldn't stand longer than 5 minutes. Like, I had to, when I was walking, somebody had to like basically either stand like in front of me and I would have to hold on to their back because I had no balance. I would get really lightheaded. I couldn't walk by myself. I lost 30 to 40 pounds. My vision, I believe like around August, started to get really blurry and I was seeing like, I would see like double of things, like words sometimes would be double. Like I couldn't watch TV because of my eyes, and like listening to stuff because my head would hurt a lot. I kept my phone on silent like almost my whole entire pregnancy because I couldn't deal with the noise of my phone ringing, especially like with, you know, like random phone calls and stuff like that. I ended up being diagnosed with, I believe it's pronounced hypermesia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Basically it is severe vomiting. So like I said, I could not keep anything down until like maybe the end of August, and then it was still like up in the air. Like one day might be able to eat one thing and I'll be fine, and then like maybe 2 days later I'll eat something similar to that and then I'll get sick. So I battled with that, and then I was also diagnosed with being anemic. I had to stop working like at the beginning when I was getting really, really sick, because I would get sick super early in the morning and I worked in the morning time. It was really, really hard, so I would call out of work, but then it got to the point where I had to take like a leave, and then my doctor signed off basically saying that I could not work because of me being so sick, me not being able to, you know, basically do anything on my own. Like someone had to always be with me. Someone had to like make sure that I had like if I was going to be by myself for a little bit, like I had to have crackers or something near me because I couldn't get up by myself like out of the bed because of my dizziness and different things like that. So that was basically the journey. Like I couldn't do most things that most people do when they're pregnant, like your baby shower, because I was so sick. So I didn't get to do that. I didn't take a lot of pictures during the journey because of me being so sick. So it's a little sad, but it's okay. Like I got through it. So during the journey, because I was losing so much weight, he was measuring small. He was measuring to be a small baby, not a big baby, which I was like, okay, you know, that's fine. I can do with a small baby, you know. And by small, I mean, like, we thought at birth he would be, like, maybe, like, no more than 7 pounds. So then, like, when we would go for ultrasounds, he would be very stubborn and would not, like, let them see, like, his face and stuff like that. So we never got to do, like, the 3D ultrasound because he was very stubborn. He had his face covered and couldn't see anything. So we didn't even know, like, well, who he might look like when he came out because we couldn't do 3D. I'm trying to think, what else do people do? Yeah, basically, like, all of the fun stuff that, you know, people typically do when they're pregnant, I couldn't do because I was sick. Towards the end, we did do, like, a few fun things, like, my mom did do, like, a little small, like, just a family thing, where they, like, decorated and made some, like, food, and we had some gifts, so it was, like, a little tiny, you know, thing, so that way I wouldn't be too sad about it. So that was really, really nice. We did do, like, a belly painting for Halloween, but I didn't get to do the belly cast, because we couldn't find it, and then when we were going to do it in December, we didn't know, like, when he was going to come, because we all thought that he was going to come early, that I wasn't going to make it to the due date because of how low he was. But he came way late, way past the due date. Bless you. So now I'm going to start talking about the labor and delivery part. So starting on New Year's Eve, I had an appointment that morning. When I went, they checked to see if I was dilated because I believe I was going on 40 weeks, like that Thursday, I think. Yeah, because New Year's Eve was the 31st and I was due January 3rd. And I was only 1 centimeter. So after we left the appointment, I was, like, really bummed because I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm only 1 centimeter. But I know that things could progress. I was like, okay, you know, anything can change. So I got, like, pineapples. I was like, well, I'm going to eat these pineapples. I got spicy, like, food, like spicy chips. I tried the wings. It wasn't working. So January 10th, I had an appointment, and they checked, and I was 1.5 centimeters dilated. And he was very low, and my cervix had softened. So that day, they wanted us to go and do monitoring at the baby hospital just to make sure that, like, the amniotic fluid and his heart rate and that he was still in good position, everything like that was fine. Because if it wasn't, then I was going to have to be, you know, admitted and induced and all of that craziness. Yeah. Ow. So we went, we did that. That took like a few hours. Everything came back fine. So then my OB, why are you like, you're like all over the place. You want to sit like this? So my OB has scheduled another appointment. So January 15th, yes, 15th, mind you, I was due January 3rd. Yeah, I know. You telling the people how you took so long? Yeah. Say, I'm not even crying. Say, I'm not crying. I just like to fuss. So, January 15th, I had an appointment, and I was supposed to get monitoring done that day again, too. And we were going to be induced that Tuesday, which, but they didn't have any, room that Monday when we talked to someone. So they said, come in and we'll do, we'll check and see how, like, if you're dilated and, well, how far you are, because I was already 1.5. And then they would send me to the hospital to get monitoring done. And then if my water hadn't broke by that night, that Wednesday, I would go in for an induction. When we get to the appointment, you know, the doctor's asking me like how I'm feeling, any contractions or anything like that. And mind you guys, I didn't know if I was having any contractions. Like, I would have like some pains, but they wasn't consistent or they weren't super strong. So it was just like up and down all over the place. So we got to the appointment, like I said, doctors asking how I was feeling, everything like that. And then we were asking like, were we gonna wait and push it to that Wednesday? And he was like, oh, well, the nurse has already set up an induction for tonight at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, what? No, I talked to somebody yesterday and they told me that we would wait till Wednesday. Oh, he was like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and induce you tonight. And after he left out the room, I like cried my eyes out because I did not want to be induced. I wanted to just do it naturally. So I was really, really upset. So after we left, like, I called my mom and I was crying. I called my dad, I was crying. And I had already had my hospital bag packed and everything like that. So we went home. I ate because my mom was like, you know, eat, because once they induce you, you probably won't be able to eat anything. So I ate, I took a nap, stuff like that. And I was still really, like, sad that I was being induced. I was sad. I don't know if I was scared. It was just the fact that I guess, like, I couldn't be in control really anymore. So that night we went to the hospital at 9, and we didn't actually get a room till around 11-ish because they had like some emergency C-sections. So once we got to the room, you know, they hooked you up, do the monitor, check to see how dilated I was, and I was still 1.5 centimeters at that night too. So then around midnight, they inserted tablets to help with the cervix, to help like soften it and different things like that. Yeah, you knew that? You knew that? Oh. Wednesday morning, they started me on Pitocin to help dilate me. I was still 1.5 centimeters then. The Pitocin wasn't helping, so they gave me the choice of doing Cervidil, I think that's how you say it, or to do the balloon catheter. I chose the balloon catheter because they said even with the Cervidil that sometimes you can have it in and then it doesn't work, and then you still have to do the balloon. And I was like, I'm not going through two different things. Like, I'd rather just do the balloon. Yep, that's what I did. Mommy did the balloon, baby. So we did that. Because I did the balloon, they took me off the Pitocin. But that Thursday morning, they put me back on the Pitocin to help with make the contraction stronger. Before Thursday afternoon, I ended up getting an epidural. Now, if you know me, or, you know, saw or heard anything like from my social media, I did not want to do an epidural. I wanted to do natural, but because the contractions weren't consistent, they weren't strong enough, they were having trouble monitoring it, they kept having to like turn it up or turn it off and stuff like that. And then like I was having some pain, but the pain wasn't unbearable. But with an epidural, you know, you only have a limited time that you can get it before it's too late. So I had to make the decision on if I should go ahead and get it, or do I think that if it got worse that I would be okay. So I went ahead and the decision to go ahead and get the epidural. And let me tell you, y'all, I backed out of it and still ended up getting it. So I was really, really scared because I didn't know when my contractions were coming. Like, even looking at the screen, I couldn't tell if one was coming or not. Hold on, guys. I couldn't tell if one was coming. So I was scared that like when the anesthesiologist was going to do the needle, that like I would jump or move. So I was like, I can't do it because I'm really, really afraid of needles and blood and stuff like that. Even though like I can't see what he's doing back there, I was like freaking out. So at that time, they only allow you to have one person in the room. So of course, Jemiah was gonna be in the room, but like I was really scared and everything. So my mom was talking to me, and the guy was really, really nice. So the guy actually let my mom and my sister stay in there with me, and I ended up getting it. The anesthesiologist let my mom and my sister stay in the room with Jemiah too. It just helped make me feel more comfortable. Now, it did not really hurt. Like, it was like a little sting, and of course, like, it hurt to me a little bit because I'm afraid of needles, but it wasn't like painful. So once I got the epidural, and that was over with, they turned up the Pitocin, and I was still in a little bit of pain, and it was just like weird pain. Like, I can't even say like the pain was like intolerable, but because I was already like, I was agitated, I was groggy, I was tired, I was hungry. Like, we had been there since Tuesday night from 9 o'clock until it was now, what, Thursday afternoon. So it's like, what, 2-3 days in the hospital. Like, I was already over it. And that Thursday put me at 42 weeks. So I was just over it. So I wasn't like focusing. Like, I was calm, with my mom and my sister being there, and Jemiah did amazing. He, was always rubbing my back and holding my hand and stuff like that. But I was just like, I was over it, so I was just done. So then that afternoon, they checked me, and I had made it to 8 centimeters. Y'all, I was so happy that I had made it to 8 centimeters, because I'm like, that means it's almost over, and my baby will be here soon. So they ended up breaking my water, and after they did that, I kept feeling like I know it's TMI, but this is what happens when you go through pregnancy and labor and stuff. I kept feeling like I had to poop, and so, like, I would feel like I had to poop, but I was, like, pushing. And, the nurse would come in, or the midwife, they would come in and they would check. But, I was still, like, 8 centimeters, so it wasn't really time to push. And then they couldn't really they were having trouble monitoring my contractions. And then I think on the radar thing, like the machine, they were having trouble monitoring his heartbeat or something, because I know they kept moving I don't know what the things are called, but whatever they had attached to my stomach to monitor him. So I don't remember everything, just because like I was tired. I was over it. So I don't remember getting to 10, but I guess I got to 10 because he came out. But I do remember like hearing them say, oh, some people end up giving birth and the baby's like 9 or 10 pounds. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, what? No, my baby's not supposed to be that big, because the last ultrasound that we had, he was only like 7 pounds or somewhere around that. Like, I think 7 pounds and 4 ounces. So I'm like, no. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to push out like a big old baby? Like, no, this can't be real. So they ended up just letting me push, and they had the peanut in between me as well. That is uncomfortable. I don't recommend it. I guess it helped me get dilated. I don't know, but it's uncomfortable. I wouldn't use that again. So I remember like trying to push. I think I was like laying on my side because laying on my back for a while was like uncomfortable. So I was laying on my side, but then eventually I had to lay on my back. And I was like pushing, but he wasn't coming out. And then I remember, the last thing I remember before he came out was them saying that his head was being squished. And I heard that and I knew, like, automatically in the back of my head, oh my gosh, his head is being squished. They're going to either have to use, like, the vacuum to help, or, like, those different tools, or they're going to tell me that I got to have a C-section. And I did not want either one of those. So all I remember is, I think, like, I prayed, and then the next thing I knew, they were all yelling, like, he's out. And after that, I didn't do immediate skin to skin with him because I don't like all of the, so he had to be cleaned off before I could do that. So they did all the cleaning and weighing him and stuff like that. And I tore really bad, so I had to get stitched up. And I also lost a lot of blood because of tearing, but because of my iron being really low and being anemic. So I did lose a lot of blood. And he was born Thursday, January 17th at 8:23. So he was 8 pounds and 1 ounce. So he was way bigger than what we thought he was going to be. But most of it was like the amniotic fluid, and a lot of it was the swelling, because when we went to his first appointment, he had dropped down to, I think, 7.5 or 7.4, something like that. So after they stitched me up and cleaned everything up, him, and I did skin to skin, and I did breastfeeding, which wasn't bad. Like, it didn't hurt or anything like that. It was just like, at first it was like kind of like a weird feeling. And once they did all of that and they cleared us and stuff like that, we were able to move to a different room. So then we went to our room, and because of my iron being so low, I had to have the nurse come in, like, when I need to go to the bathroom or different things like that, so that they could help me in case I passed out or anything, or I started to faint. They would be there to be able to catch me and stuff like that. And he did really good when he was in the hospital. Like, he wasn't like a fussy baby. He actually really didn't wake up for feedings. We had to, like, wake him up. Like, we would have to, like, unswaddle him and, like, rub his back and ears and stuff to get him to wake up so that he could eat. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So we were there. We didn't get discharged until that Saturday, like, late afternoon. I think it was like around 4 or 5 o'clock. So we have been at that hospital from Tuesday night at 9 o'clock up until Saturday around 4 or 5 o'clock. Well, I tell you, I was over it. But their food at that hospital was really, really good. Like, I know a lot of people complain and be ready to go because they're hungry or they get delivery. But the food was good. Like, I had hamburger, I had roast beef, I had all the meals. I had breakfast, like, they had pancakes, the fruit, they had chocolate cake. The chocolate cake was good. I was in there grubbing after I had him. Soon as that night when I had him and they told me that I could order food, I mean, cheeseburger with french fries, and I was grubbing because I was so hungry because I hadn't eaten since Tuesday afternoon. So I was like starving. But then we went home and he was fine at home too. Like, he wasn't fussy, he didn't really cry. Like, we pretty much had to wake him up for his feedings to stay on track with the feeding. Now he wakes up for his feedings. Like, he wake up and he gonna wake you up to let you know that he hungry, he ready to eat. So now he still eats like every 2 to 3 hours. I am breastfeeding and I'm doing formula because of his weight. He's gained his birth weight back and a little bit more, but he's not gaining the amount, I guess, the grams per week or per day. I don't remember what his pediatrician said. I wrote it down somewhere, but I don't have it in front of me. So she wants me to continue doing the formula and breastfeeding, so that way he still gets the nutrients from me, but he's also still getting the calories from the formula to gain the weight that he needs. If you're out there and like you're having a bad pregnancy, or you're going through like some of the things in my video, don't feel like bad or anything like that, but you can always reach out. I'm gonna have my Instagram name in the description and my email in the description too, so you can reach out, because during my journey, like, I didn't have anyone to talk to about the stuff that I was going through, and it was kind of difficult because like I would see other people that I knew like on Instagram and like Facebook going through their pregnancy, but they were going through their pregnancy smoothly. You know, of course they probably had like morning sickness or was like extremely tired or stuff like that, but for me, like, I couldn't do anything. Everybody had to do stuff for me. Like, I needed help getting dressed, different things like that. Like, it was really, really bad. My mom, she said, like, when I walk, like, she compares it to someone that had a stroke. So that's how bad I was. And I didn't start getting better to where I could do stuff on my own until, I would say, probably like November. Like, right around the time my birthday was coming, that's when I could, like, kind of get up by myself and kind of move around. I still couldn't, like, fix my own food. Somebody else had to do it because I didn't have the strength to carry anything or different things like that. My balance was still off. So yes, but in the end, it is all worth it, because you'll have your precious baby. So if you're going through that, that's what I would say. Like, because at times I was just like, I'm ready for this to be over. Like, you need to come on and come out, because I don't know how much longer I can deal with this, especially when I was just throwing up so much. Because literally, like, the doctor was like, well, just drink water and crackers until couldn't keep water down. I actually changed the type of water I was drinking about 3 to 4 times during my pregnancy because it made me sick. And I think the last water that I was able to keep down was Smart Water, and that's what I just was drinking to the end of the pregnancy and even now, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm tired of seeing vomit. Like, it was horrible. It's when once the vomiting stopped, I would cough so much. I guess, I don't know if I was having like reflex. I'm not sure what it was, but I would have like these little cough attacks and I would like spit up. So that would go on for a while and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Or I would take like my iron pills and then that would make me sick, but I couldn't keep like food really down, so I couldn't take it with food. I couldn't take it with orange juice. It was really, really rough. And I'm not putting this video out there to like discourage anyone. It is to help someone, because I honestly didn't think I was gonna make it. I didn't think the baby was gonna make it because of how sick I was. But one thing I can say is, if you are religious, like, God does everything for a reason. So I guess he had me go through that to be able to help someone else, or to make me stronger. I'm not really sure. I'm not gonna question it. But just know that, like, when you see people on Instagram or things like that, like, and they may be having like this beautiful journey and stuff like that, they may actually be having a beautiful journey, but behind the scenes it may not be beautiful, you know, or they may have a smooth pregnancy. Not everybody has a smooth pregnancy. Like, at the beginning we were like, yeah, you know, everything's gonna be good, we're gonna take all our different classes, I'm gonna work up until, you know, I wanted to work up until I went into labor or before, or like a week or so before, and then start my maternity leave. Like, you know, I prayed and we believed, like, I was eating right, I was healthy, I never had any health problems except for having asthma, which is under control. It just, out of nowhere, it just happened. So that is it for this video. Make sure that you subscribe, like, comment down below if you are pregnant or if you're a new mommy. Also, comment some new videos that you guys want to see, because I'm going to start doing some more videos. And I'm trying to think. Follow me on social media. It is going to be down in the description. But my Instagram is Quetta, QUETTA _ Diva, DIVA. I'm trying to think. I think that is it. So I will see you guys later. Bye.
The whip pulling up, it's like skirt. Drink pulling up, it's like skirt. I'm living my best life. It's my birthday, at least I wear I'm dressed like.